First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
Are we safer? Tonight, 10 on your side takes an in-depth look at what's changed in the 10 years since 9/11. And
I mean, it's gone, it's destroyed.
This is Tom Lupton, lost his pool in the hurricane. Now he's finding out his deductible is so high he can't afford to replace it. A lot of people in Hampton Roads dealing with the same problem. That story coming up.
plus the search for a missing boater continues in Portsmouth.
The water started getting in the boat, and the one kid that is out there now started panicking.
Hear what happened in the moments after the boat flipped. That 21-year-old was in a canoe with two friends when it capsized along the western branch of the Elizabeth River.
3 helicopters and 10 rescue boats were used in the search and rescue, but now it's been declared a recovery mission. 10 on your side's Allie Lucia has been out at the scene in Portsmouth all day. Allie?
Nicole, I was here when Brian Harris's family and 2 friends who were aboard that canoe learned that that search mode had changed to a recovery mission. A really sad scene here. Brian had a 2-year-old son. He was just out on a job interview last Friday, and today we're learning more just how exactly this happened. Waiting together is what friends and family of Brian Harris did all day down by the Elizabeth River until this afternoon when they learned that that glimmer of hope was gone. The hope turned to tears and hugs after the search for Brian changed from a rescue to a recovery mission.
He was scared.
Amara Blechman lives near the river and helped notify police of the accident.
Came out to the window and they were like, someone's drowning, so I ran around the side and gave them my phone. They called 911.
21-year-old Harris and his 2 friends were aboard this canoe without life jackets when it flipped over around 10 Monday night.
He said the water started getting in the boat, and the one kid that is out there now started panicking and flipped the boat over.
Harris, according to his family, was not a strong swimmer.
He kept telling the victim that just to hold on to the boat.
While his friend swam to shore to get help, Steve York with the Virginia Marine Police worked through the night in the search efforts and says the current was strong.
The current got him, it was outgoing current, and it spun the back of the boat around, and as they were trying to correct the direction of the boat with the paddles, weight shifted in the boat and the boat capsized.
He says Brian was told by his 2 friends to stay by the canoe.
The victim was on top of it, kept trying to get on top of the boat, which kept pushing the boat underwater.
But once they reached shore, that's when police say his friends could see him, but couldn't hear him.
He didn't lose sight of him, he lost communication with him. And then he made it to shore, and that's what we see.
Police are dedicated to finding Brian's body. They have 7 people dedicated in this recovery effort. Nicole?
Allie Lucia live for us in Portsmouth.
Well, we had some rain on the peninsula. We were a little bit worried about something named Katia out there, but that fear may have been short-lived. But there's something else going on out there in the Atlantic.
We got Katia and we got Maria. Maria. Really, right now we're getting the remnants of Leah. A little earlier, I said.
That's right.
It feels kind of like Florida weather. It's, with the heat that we've got, we get a quick little shower, a quick little fast-moving shower, and boom, it's gone. Well, right now, the showers into the area are few and far between, but when they do pop up, they do produce some brief heavy rain, but there's not all that much in terms of rainfall out there right now. But you could still see some. Now, what's going on with Katia? What's going on with Maria? We got a brand new one, and that is Maria, developed as of 11 o'clock this morning. 50-mile-an-hour winds moving to the west now at 20 miles an hour. Not expected to intensify significantly or at all in the next several days, but we'll want to watch that one very, very carefully. As far as Katia, I'm not real concerned about that one now. Even though that is the closer storm, that's likely to stay well on offshore. There's where things are right now. 80-mile-an-hour winds, but 80-mile-an-hour winds and staying offshore between now and into Thursday night. So again, we'll very likely see some really big surf out of that coming up in the next couple of days. What's ahead for the rest of our forecast? Find out all about that in just a few minutes.
An early morning car fire quickly spread out of control and caught a nearby home on fire. Virginia Beach fire investigators say it happened around 3 this morning on King William Road. That's just behind the Care-A-Lot pet store on Diamond Springs Road. 2 people inside the home made it out safely. It's unclear what started the fire, but investigators say it's suspicious.
And we're learning more about a man shot and killed by a Norfolk police officer. Investigators say that man had a criminal history that included larceny and car theft. The shooting happened on Fort Worth Avenue in Denby Park in that area yesterday. Police say someone saw 20-year-old Kenneth Smallwood trying to break into a car. Investigators say he tried to run over an officer.
Suspect throws his vehicle in reverse, striking the police car, pushing the police car onto the officer. That's when the officer fires at the suspect.
He's a cool guy, down-to-earth type person. Good guy. Yeah, he was only 20. Only 20.
Police say Smallwood died from a single gunshot wound. The officer was not hurt. He is on administrative duty, which is standard policy in this case. Now, after 2 officer-involved shootings in Norfolk in the last month, we had some questions. 10 on your side asked about standard procedure when it comes to an officer firing their weapon. Hear what they had to say tonight at 6.
After nearly a month of being closed, the Dismal Swamp Canal reopened. Crews closed America's oldest continually operating man-made canal because of the wildfire and downed trees from Hurricane Irene. The canal, which is in Camden County, North Carolina, is part of the Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway. About 2,000 boaters pass through it each year.
Our lives changed after September 11th, 2001, and we're still building the biggest national security system the world has ever seen. Is it working, or is it, as some critics charge, too big to work in keeping us safe from future attacks? Some possible answers tonight from Steve Handelsman in this special report.
Since 9/11, the worst terrorist attack in the U.S. was at Fort Hood, Texas, 2009. 13 killed. Major Nidal Hassan's emails to an al-Qaeda cleric in Yemen were intercepted by the U.S. government, but Hassan, born in America, was not considered a threat. The accused underwear bomber, Abdul Muttalib, was allowed on Northwest Flight 253, even though his father warned a U.S. embassy his son had joined al-Qaeda. U.S. citizen Faisal Shahzad, whose badly built bomb misfired on Times Square, met with the Taliban, but he was allowed back into the U.S. 3 loners, missed by a system critics say is too focused on the kind of team that pulled off 9/11. University of North Carolina's Charles Kurzman studied every terrorism case in the U.S. since 2001, 186 suspects.
None of them fit the profile of sleeper cells and highly trained killers that the system was designed to detect.
Despite that possible flaw, the system, once mostly the FBI, the CIA, and the eavesdropping NSA, is growing gigantically. Here in southeast Washington, D.C., about 3 miles from the White House, on that hill, they're building the new headquarters of the Department of Homeland Security, a $3 billion complex. DHS didn't exist before 9/11. Now it's got 250,000 employees, and it's just part of the new system. There's the National Counterterrorism Center, Secret Air Force, Navy, and Army Intelligence, the Foreign Terrorist Tracking Task Force, 1,250 federal agencies involved, 1 million people, and supercomputers, all looking for threats.
The intelligence community is awash in data. The question is, are we analyzing it properly? Are we connecting the dots?
In 2009, Najib al-Azazi was caught communicating with al-Qaeda and buying chemicals to bomb New York's subways. But some in the Pentagon and the White House see another flaw. So many names, tips, links, briefings, officials get overwhelmed. Is the system too big to work?
Not only is it too big to work, but where does the bigness then cross and trespass across the line of individual liberties and privacy?
Others insist the system's fair and is working.
We're picking up a lot more warning signs and a lot more potentially dangerous people and stopping them before they're in a position to strike. That's good news.
And since 9/11, 33 people have been killed by Islamic terrorists in the U.S., 1% of those who died on that day 10 years ago. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Washington.
Coming up, a dangerous inmate on the loose. Why was he even released in the first place? Hear what officials said when 10 on your side went digging for answers.
And we're learning more about the man who opened fire at an IHOP in Nevada. We'll hear if he had any connection to the 3 National Guardsmen he killed. Plus,
we don't know if we've got a house to go home to. We don't know anything.
As the chaos continues in Texas, firefighters get some relief. We'll tell you what's helping them fight the flames. A shooting rampage at an IHOP in Nevada has now claimed 4 lives. Deputies say a man with an AK-47 fired at a group of uniformed National Guard members in Carson City yesterday. The gunman was 32-year-old Eduardo Cencion. Relatives said he worked in a nearby business and suffered from mental illness. Investigators are not sure why he started shooting.
To say that he was targeting before he came into the restaurant, those military persons, we have not been able to establish. Clearly, the fact that 5 of the 11 were military draws a concern for us.
Cencion killed 3 National Guard members and a civilian before turning the gun on himself. Several others are in critical condition. Deputies say he didn't have any connection to the military.
And a good part of the Lone Star State is on fire. Today, crews in central Texas near Austin got a little help battling those flames when the winds died down a bit. That allowed strike teams to push through the haze and get to the front lines of the fire. But the flames have destroyed more than 1,000 homes and 5,000 people are staying in shelters.
About 30% contained. We anticipate that percentage to grow throughout the day.
At least 2 people have died so far. Officials say this is the worst wildfire to hit Texas in the past decade. So far, it's charred more than 100,000 acres.
Hurricane Irene did a lot of damage. Were you covered? 10 on Your Side separates fact from fiction when it comes to insurance after a storm.
Then find out what forced a shutdown at the National Cathedral.
Residents across Hampton roads are getting a cold dose of hurricane costs.
Hurricane deductibles, often called cyclone deductibles on insurance policies, are kicking in, and it's costing many of you thousands of dollars. 10 on Your Side's Andy Fox is here now with how hurricane policies kick in when trouble's on the way. Andy?
Tom and Nicole, read the fine print right here. The hurricane clause of your insurance policy kicks in when the National Weather Service, listen to this, issues a hurricane watch and then warning. When that happens, higher deductibles kick in, costing you policyholders thousands more than your regular deductible.
It's unbelievable. It's like they got you no matter which way you go.
You could say Tom Lupton's stuck. Irene took down the tree and took down the family pool. This is a pool. This is a luxury. This is not the roof on your house.
That's right.
Do you replace it? You can't afford it.
That's it. I cannot afford it.
Lupton says he cannot afford to pay the deductible to fix the pool. Like thousands of Hampton Roads residents, he has hurricane coverage, but his is very high at 5%. So Lupton has dwelling protection of $164,000 on his home. His hurricane deductible is 5% of that, or $8,200. Most have 2%. If that were the case, Lupton would only owe $3,280. Even 1% is more common than his 5%. Lupton would owe $1,640. Lupton feels real bad right now, and he doesn't trust the insurance adjuster.
He told me to go ahead, if I wanted to move it, to go ahead and move it and just make sure I took pictures of it. I said, no, sir. Nothing is going to be moved until someone comes out here and looks at it. Because just as sure as you've done it, you're not going to have the right pictures.
They can't afford the deductible for us to come in and finish off, do any of the work.
Lupton is not alone. Contractor Steve Salas sees it all over Hampton Roads.
We can't work for free, and naturally, they don't want us to work for free. That's what we're hearing all over the area.
For now, Tom Lupton is a man without a pool, and a man who may not have a pool in the future, thanks to Hurricane Irene and a high deductible.
No, I can't pay it. No, I cannot pay it.
Now, Lupton is still waiting for the insurance adjuster to come to his home. He's already about a day late. In the meantime, nothing will move until the adjuster gets there, and that's a good 10 on your side tip. Don't move anything. Tonight at 6, we talk to a local independent insurance agent who signs policies with many companies. She has a 10 on your side tip that could save you Thousands of dollars, that tonight at 6. And of course, the problem is we don't worry about the hurricane policy until
there's a hurricane
hits. And then when that happens, then you're saying, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know this.
So know what's in the policy before and have money set aside if you can.
And the interesting thing is 74 miles per hour, tonight at 6. Why that is an important number with one insurance company.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Andy.
Now, in high definition, your Super Dot for 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
Little rain again out there, but for most of us, not that awfully much. Did get more this morning. However, that's moved on, and now just widely scattered rainfall moving on, mainly along I-95, but we are seeing some action in our area. A closer look at things, and you can see some of that rainfall popped up very quickly over the south side, moved on through. Now, we got another area that's developing over the Great Dismal Swamp, Ballahack Road area of Chesapeake, and that's going to lift right on into the Hampton Road City south side as well, move up toward Hampton. But again, there are real quick little showers as far as lightning with this. Yes, we could see some lightning. 29 lightning strikes, 30 lightning strikes in the past 5 minutes. Most of them, though, are well on off to the west. So we move in where we are getting some rain. One area falling apart over downtown Hampton on up toward Poquoson. And Poquoson, you get a little bit of rain out of this. This other area that we are looking again, this is lifting northward toward Portsmouth and likely move right on through Norfolk as well. Other areas to the west of Franklin, but most of the action is well on off to the west, right along I-95 and then on up toward West Point, Virginia. Now, if you're just joining us, I want to show you what's going on into the tropics. I think we're okay, certainly okay with Katia, but there's a brand new storm out there, Maria, as of 11 o'clock this morning. Here's the latest on the storm, 50-mile-an-hour winds, moving to the west at 20 miles an hour, and not expected to significantly intensify, if any at all, right now. Now, by this coming Monday at 2 o'clock, there's where it is. Where does it go from here? I'm showing you the forecast models, but want to watch this one carefully because they're really kind of all over the place. They're into here, but they're also going to the west of Cuba, or Bermuda. So again, I think we're watching that one with Katia much closer, stronger certainly. However, this one's just going to give us some wave action coming up and not even high tides by the looks of things right now. 2 o'clock in the morning tomorrow night, 80-mile-an-hour winds. It's moving well offshore, and it's going to stay well offshore. What's going on for us? We've got the remnants basically of leaves still producing some tropical moisture into the area, and that's going to continue off and on overnight and during the day for tomorrow. First part of the day and then the end of the day for tomorrow. You can see some more rain tomorrow morning, a little bit of a let up. We can see it perk back up again during the afternoon hours of tomorrow. But then after that, I think we're done with it, as basically the Katia well offshore gives us a lot of waves, big rip currents through the area, and kind of sucks all that moisture right on out of that thing, right on out of that little front. Now here's some of the rain that has moved on through the area. We've got temperatures mostly into the 80s right now, and it's going to be into the 80s really over the next 7 days. Here's what's going on tomorrow, 86. Chance of rain at either end of the day, 87 Friday, mid-80s for the weekend.
Still to come, a shocking announcement from NBC's Andrea Mitchell. Hear what she told viewers about her health.
Then at 5:30, it's been 10 years since the September 11 terrorist attacks. 10 on your side sat down with one local family who lost a loved one about what this day means to them. A plane crash in Russia killed 43 people today. Only 2 survived. The passenger jet was carrying the Russian locomotive hockey team. It crashed almost immediately after takeoff near Moscow. Among those killed was former Carolina Hurricanes player Joseph Vasicek. One player and a crew member survived.
A crane towering 300 feet in the air toppled at the National Cathedral in Washington. The crane was on site to help repair damage from the recent earthquake. Workers say it fell in the one place where it could not damage the cathedral or other people, but it did damage a few cars. The operator was hurt, but he was up and walking around shortly after this all happened. Wow, this is quite a sight. No word on why or how that crane fell. And you see her frequently on NBC News. Now Andrea Mitchell herself is in the news.
I had planned to be hiking in Wyoming last week, but instead discovered that I am now among the 1 in 8 women in this country, incredibly, 1 in 8, who have had breast cancer.
Mitchell revealed the breast cancer diagnosis at the end of her show this morning. She says doctors discovered her cancer in the earliest stage.
A joint memoir by Gabrielle Giffords and Mark Kelly is due out soon. Gabby, a story of courage and hope, comes out November 15th. The book covers everything from the Arizona representative's political career to her recovery from the January shooting in Tucson. It also details her husband's time on Space Shuttle Endeavour. The publisher says Giffords was fully engaged at every step of the book.
Well, you might think driving around Hampton Roads is a little confusing. Definitely no argument there, but apparently it can be much worse.
Find out which city takes the cake for causing accidents. Here's a hint, it's not that far away.
Then a sea of red, white, and blue outside this Chesapeake church. Find out the special meaning behind each flag.
Yes, okay. Let me get to my part here. All right, when you hear something like this, your first thought is someone at the jail either made a...
From when the team like the style was in.
No, I quit.
Roughly, you know. Yeah, wait.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Better. Hello, Chris.
Thank you.
Don't want to have an accident? Then avoid the roads in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., because according to a report by Allstate, more drivers run into mayhem on the roads in D.C. than any other city. Drivers there have a 107% greater chance of having an accident than anywhere else in the country. 107%. Baltimore, Glendale, California, Newark, New Jersey, and Providence, Rhode Island, Nicole, round out the top 5. Nicole spent some time in Providence.
That's what they call it, the Rhode Island left. Everybody takes it.
How about this? TiVo, it's making a comeback. In 2007, it had more than 4 million subscribers. That number has fallen to nearly 2 million since then, so the company is rolling out a new box that can record 4 shows at one time. Has enough storage space for 300 hours of recording in high definition. The new box is scheduled to be available later in the year. It'll cost around $500. And whether you're watching us now or we're on DVR, WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.